The next section we're going to talk about is financial considerations, very important. We worked in conjunction with Stop Waste to do some of this work. And why should we care about reusables? You want to take on this slide?
Well, certainly when you look at the economics, and again, it's the other green that we're interested in here as far as having reusables work for you and your customers in your overall business. And here's where just some examples. I was looking at the revenue enhancement, capital utilization in terms of building the product. It requires a capital cost as far as purchasing and having that pool of assets and then utilizing it as best you can. Multiple trips, being able to turn it as fast as you can. So more usage you get, the more economics play in your hand. And then, of course, operating expense, reducing the cost to make those shipments, better efficiencies in your transportation, better efficiencies in your packs, your different pack sizes, for example, trying to have the most efficiencies in what you're trying to deliver to your customer. So there is definitely a lot of modeling involved all the way from the design of the product through the packaging and handling, transportation, and of course that in use. And that's something you need to get your arms around to figure out how can I maximize the benefit from the financial side of reusable packaging.
Reusable packaging impact, let me piggyback on that, impact a company in 3 different ways. If you look at a balance sheet, you're going to have to sell this to some CFO somewhere if you have a program inside. And there's 3 ways that any program can impact a balance sheet. It's revenue enhancement, helping your customer, or you sell more of your product. So I'll give you an example, the produce example that we use, these are used to display product. So if you can prove that because of the use of this product that you're going to sell more fruits and vegetables, that's revenue enhancement. Chances are most CFOs will say that's kind of, that's an indirect, soft, not going to give it to you. All right, just chances are. Capital utilization is like the pooling model that Tim talked about, where instead of owning these assets, a lot of the grocers don't own them, they rent them. They'll call up someone like Tim's company and say, we want to use these products, can you deliver 10 truckloads today? And then that'll be charged through the cycle, and then the billing ends at the end of its use. And so you're not utilizing your capital as a company, you're having someone else do that, and you're creating it as an operating expense or service that you can use. And so for those that don't want to utilize capital on these assets, there's those opportunities as well. So capital utilization. Then operating expense reduction is usually where we play. Not always, but usually. That's all right. I'm spending this much to ship this packaging product or my products to either inbound to me or outbound to my customers today, and with a reusable system, I'm going to reduce this by X. And so most CFOs will say, okay, if you can show me that, then that's a cost savings, then I'm gonna do that. And so it's one of those 3 categories. Reusable packaging impacts all 3 potentially. Probably more so in capital utilization in certain supply chains, and operating expense reduction, reduction in transportation, reduction in labor, reduction in materials purchased, all those different categories. So there's 3 specific categories that if you start talking like this with CFO and you can isolate those, you're probably going to get your project through, regardless of whether or not it's reusable packaging or not. Okay? Financial categories. So we talked about our role in all 3 financial categories. As supply chain professionals, we must take a holistic view of how our solutions affect the entire financial performance of companies. That just means take all these into consideration and figure out where you can impact your balance sheet internally. And so when we talk about the financial aspects of this particular section and these particular products, that's what we're really talking about. Well, here's some examples that we talked about. Revenue enhancement, merchandising level at the store, elimination of white space at the plant level, allowing more units sold. In other words, a lot of these products are very uniform and dense. They condense areas inside a plant. And so if a manufacturer doesn't have to build another factory because they're using all their space and they can condense, you can build another line in that space. That's a big deal. And so these products are uniform and sort of organize the work or work in process in an organized fashion. Okay, make sense? The next one is capital utilization. We talked about pooling and rental of reusables instead, some supply chain examples, instead of procuring the assets, using the assets, and then operating on a sort of on an expense condition. And then finally, operating expense reduction, reduction of labor at the back end of the store or line side, reduction of total freight costs, material substitution. Those are just some easy categories.